Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic, wonderful, and amazing Saturday and week. It's been so crazy. It's been crazy a lot on my end in many ways I did not anticipate. So it's been a bit of a rough week for me. But overall, in Royal Land, I think we've had a pretty good week. Obviously, Harry and Meghan apparently have bought a home in Portugal. Why? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It doesn't make a ton of sense, to be quite honest. And I have probably a theory about that, which I'll probably go into in another video, because I was going to sort of just go, oh, I did a little bit in my last video. The rest of it's just kind of silly. But like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there's just something weird about this. Just something super weird. So we're going to go into it. Harry did a fantasy surf camp because apparently he's kind of lame and can't go in the big boy ocean. So we do have that from Prince Harry. We have Prince William throwing a football and being a man on a mission when it comes to ending homelessness, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Other than that, I think we've had and Charles and Camilla are down under there in Australia to start their tour. And I think that's sort of the big things that we have going on in the royal sphere this week. So let's go ahead and get into the comments here. We got Lizzie B. Hello, everyone. Good morning, Ms. Brittany and Ms. Pippa. Good morning. We got Mary became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Mary. We have Jasmine became a YouTube member as well. Yay. Thank you so much, ladies. I hope you enjoy it. We got Najma says, these are paid ads. They get mentioned in these places. They are paid influencers. Why can't you see that, Brittany? Well, they are and they aren't in some ways because they're trying to play this game. And I don't know. The thing is, we don't know. Sorry. The thing is, oh, goodness, I keep pressing the wrong button. The thing is, we don't know what they're getting paid for, what they're not getting paid for. I mean, we can guess they're getting paid for X and whatever, but we don't really know. There's not really unless there is a public statement, we don't really know what they're getting paid for and not getting paid for. So sometimes they are and sometimes they are. So that's why I kind of watch and see and just posit things. I'm not going to go down the track until we have actual proof. I find things run better that way on my channel. I try to always go with what is being reported usually by the mainstream British press. That's usually one of the best metrics for what is actually going on. So we got Vicky says, oh my goodness, I called this about 2 weeks ago and then Beatrice did her center point attendance and I thought, this makes complete sense to them, not anyone else though. Maybe, but we do have, I think it was actually, I don't think Beatrice attended. I thought it was just Lady Kitty Spencer and her twin sisters, Amelia and Eliza. I don't think Beatrice was there. She's done a couple of things, so I'd have to look up again. Maria says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. We got Asma says, hi, everyone. We have Rebecca. Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. Not to get political, but I've heard Kamala Harris also has issues keeping staff and not listening to the advice. Does it sound familiar? Yes. And that was reported with Kamala like ages ago. And she lost, especially I want to say the first year, especially, she lost a lot of staff members. And we can't say for sure, but there seems to be a connection between those type of allegations and a connection with word salad. So I think Meghan does a better word salad than Kamala does, in my personal opinion, but I think they both have a pretty decent level of word salad there. We have Michelle. Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa from Minnesota. We have Laura. Good morning, Brittany and lovely Miss Pippa. We have Tina as well. Good morning, everyone. Brittany and Miss Pippa. Blanca says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa from Arizona. It snowed in northern Arizona. Oh, wow. It's finally getting to that cooler time of year. Desert Mermaid said, morning from Scottsdale, Arizona. It's finally getting much cooler here. Yeah, it's starting to get cooler where I am too, which I'm very excited about. I mean, it was weird because it kind of went from still some pretty good heat to all of a sudden it was really cold. So it was like your body kind of has like a shock because you kind of want like the crispness of fall to kind of lead you into more of the depth of winter. But all of a sudden it just seemed like, boom, it was winter. And I'm like, or like deep fall or something. And I'm like, but I wanted like a smoother. Anyways, I guess I'm just never satisfied. We got Carrie. Good morning, Carrie. Became a YouTube member. Why, thank you so much, Carrie. I'm sure you will enjoy that. We got Diz Fan. Best wishes to His Majesty on his tour. Yes. And I retweeted something on Twitter recently about an event where they said the king is going to meet the public. I think it's outside the Sydney Opera House, I want to say. But I wish him the best. He's going to have a bit of a tough slog slightly with the Republican movement there, or the Republic movement. the guy who runs it apparently just wants to follow Charles to every continent he goes to and just annoy him and like everybody else. So that is going to be definitely something to watch as well. So let's keep going here. We got Water, good morning from Maryland. We got K Coffee, good morning from Central Florida. Power back on and looking forward to the live. Oh, good. Water says, I hope that all affected by the 2 hurricanes are okay. Still thinking about all you at NC, SC, and FL. Sharon says, do you think Harry and Meghan Markle will embark on another faux royal tour? Probably. Like, Richard Eden posited that Harry and Meghan are going to try to do like faux royal tours in Europe, which is just idiotic. They have their own royals. Like in most countries, they have royals or people with titles or something like that. And so I'm like, that's just dumb. But I mean, the level of dumb with Harry and Meghan is quite high in a lot of instances. And honestly, from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make much sense. But I do actually have a theory of why it could make maybe a little bit more sense. But Meghan has made it clear she does not want to go back to Europe. She's made that perfectly clear. So we got Joan. Good morning, everyone. Brittany and Miss Pippa from San Ramon, California. And we got Desert Mermaid. Are Harry and Meghan looking for a golden visa by buying Portugal home? Love your channel, Brittany. Thank you. Well, I did get a message from someone sharing that when it comes to the golden visa situation, it's not dependent on property anymore. And I remember reading the golden visa and it said investment. So you have to invest capital. It can't be real estate. And so because of that, Harry and Meghan cannot get the golden visa that way. But it just doesn't make a ton of sense either way. Like Archie has the visa and they can always vacation in the UK for 90 days with Meghan with her status, and they probably can get her a visa. And so it's just, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, honestly, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, I feel like they're putting their horse way before the front gate. I don't know what they're trying to do. Their PR makes no sense. And, you know, I just go back to Lindsay going, well, so many people wanted me to do their PR after watching me with Harry and Meghan. I'm like, really? Really? I don't believe you. Sharon says the faux royal tour by them is high blood pressure inducing. Love your channel. Why? Thank you. Yeah, I find it annoying because they're not real. They don't offer anything. I was even reading a bit of something about William Alexander doing a little bit of a tour thing. And what he was taught and what they said there is that, oh, ministers of such and such and such and such are going. Royals don't just go by themselves. They go with like actual top people within their government. And because of that, they are able to have this great influence and impact. Harry and Meghan, again, all they can bring is jam. And she doesn't even have any of it. It's like pathetic. So pathetic. Disfan, thank you so much for the tip again. I don't see how a woman who hates the UK so much buys a home in Europe. Hope the European royals stand clear of the Harry and Meghan drama. And is it even true? Now, I will say when it comes to is it true or not, Richard Eden has had some pretty good stuff in the past. So I imagine it's probably fairly true. There's somebody from their camp specifically leaking to Richard Eden. He got the leave story first from what is his name? I can't remember his name. And then there was another story fairly recently where he got kind of the first bite of it. Oh, he also was the first to say when ARO was starting to film and stuff. So he gets some good stuff. I know sometimes people are like, oh, the British media, they don't get, he gets good stuff. He does actually get good stuff. But why in Europe? It doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't think Meghan really wants to be there. Like, she's the type of person I feel like who has a vendetta. She not only hates the country that she believes like not abandoned her, but turned its back on her. She would be somebody who's vindictive enough to put that over on an entire continent. Okay, you guys probably hear Miss Pippa in the background, so I may have to go grab her because she's going a little crazy. But yeah, I don't understand why they purchased it, but I think this might be more Harry's idea than Meghan's. So anyways, but hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right, baby butt. Are you making... I was going to try to help you. I was going to try to help you. Miss Pippa says hello, everyone. Very insistently, she said hello. she did understand why I was talking to myself up here, and she could not join because She wants to join and say hello. So say hi, Miss Pippa. They're over there. Do you see them? Oh, good girl. Okay, you got to get down now. Sometimes she's fine, but I was thinking she'd be fine, but no, she did not want to. She couldn't be downstairs. Casey says, good morning, Brittany, Ms. Pippa, and my RNN friends. Good morning. We got Caroline. Good evening, Brittany and everyone from Perth. Hello. Joan G, I believe that Harry wants to move to Portugal to be seen as royalty and not a celebrity. Meghan may want that too. Thoughts? I don't think moving to Portugal really helps them with that. The only way it helps them is if they're in the UK, honestly, because that's the country where they got their titles. Other than that, there are people with defunct titles in Portugal. There are people with defunct titles everywhere. So they're not like all that interesting in some ways just because they're like everybody else. Now, granted, of course, again, I want to preface this because I know people, Sussex Watch people in particular, go, well, they're just so popular. Everybody talks about them all the time. Again, because people want to watch them fail and they enjoy seeing the train wreck. That's not because they really want to see Harry and Meghan, if that makes sense. And so it's one of those things where Harry and Meghan, I think, have made themselves so unlikable that people just want to see them fail. They do. They do. Wendy Van Rokel, thank you so much for the tip this morning. Why in the world would someone go shopping for a British husband when they have no intention of embracing any part of that culture? What a selfish, overbearing thing to do. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, you almost get the sense that Meghan went through every man in California and couldn't find one. But like, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, why would you not try? Like, did it not ever occur to you that just because you speak English, that culture might be a bit different? Did that never occur to you? Like, Meghan and so many people, especially, I mean, even people who are anti-Meghan will go, well, she's so smart. And I was like, no, she actually comes across as not all that bright, really, because she makes such obviously dumb decisions. Like, why in the world, if you don't like, why would you search out, like you said, a British husband if you don't give two craps about British culture? Why? Why? That makes no sense. If you have no respect for it, you don't care for it, why in the world are you going and trying to find a Brit? Like, what was the point of that? Like, did she go through every man in LA and then every man in Toronto, and though she has to jump countries to find it's like, doesn't make any sense except for in a bad ways, I gotta say. So Meghan, yeah, it definitely not, but that's very much her. She's overbearing. She does not want to learn or take anybody else's life into consideration, really. Janet Black says, Sharon, I heard the Sussexes have tried to go to India this month to rival Charles, but were turned down on a royal tour. I doubt it. I doubt it. They need small countries. I don't think India would really work. And again, if I keep saying again, I noticed in videos, so I got to stop saying that. But when you look at Harry and Meghan and any of the tours he's gone, the more they do these tours, the less they're going to get invitations because people are going to go, what did Colombia get out of this? Sure, they got in the headlines, but we don't need headlines. We generate enough of our own. And a lot of those headlines were negative. And so what's the point? Joan G says, I've heard that there's global copyright ban on the Oprah interview with Harry and Meghan. Is that true? If yes, why? Well, I mean, it is under copyright, and apparently Oprah doesn't want people to see it again, which doesn't make a ton of sense. So I don't know why that is. I don't know. Lizzie B says, what is their next location for their fake tour? No idea. No idea. A Dot GDX says, good morning, Brittany and RNN family. I finally made it to a live now that I'm working off the East Coast. Well, good. Cheryl says, good morning here from Southwest Florida. I look forward to RNN Saturday morning live all week. So glad to be here, Brittany. You do an amazing job. Why, thank you. Rich says, morning RNN fam. We have Sharon, good. Janet, thanks. We got Chantal. Good morning from the Netherlands. Good morning. Doc GDX says, I think the Portugal house is simply another runaway for Meghan Markle, just like Canada was. She's escaping her bad PR. Actually, I would argue the opposite. I think it's Harry. I think it's Harry who wants to escape everything. I don't think it's Meghan. Meghan, although she does want to escape things, I think she is also desperate again to be loved by the Hollywood elite. So she definitely is the one who wants to stay in California, exactly where they're at, because she's hoping at some point she can finagle her way into something. And I mean, honestly, it doesn't make much sense for them to be in Portugal. When I was there, all it reminded me of was Southern California. So, or maybe Northern a bit too. And so I don't know what they're going to gain out of it. Like in terms of you buy a vacation home so you can get to a place with a different weather system. And to a certain extent. You don't get that in Portugal. And yes, you're closer to Europe, but she doesn't want to be in Europe, I don't think. I think she's developed a hatred for the entire continent pretty much because it, in her mind, rejected her. Mary said, good morning from foggy Kentucky. Caroline says, listen to the news report today here in Australia, and a royal visit didn't come until maybe 20 minutes. Read the Australian newspaper, one small article about the visit, disappointing coverage. Yes, although it hasn't officially started yet, it'll officially they arrived yesterday. I think they'll more officially start on a series of engagements tomorrow. So that should be very early morning hours. So in about 8 hours or so, we should see more from their visit. Diz fan says, how do you think Queen Camilla will be received in Australia? I feel like it's her first big test since becoming Queen Consort. Thank you so much for the tip. Yeah, it's a bit of a test for her, I think. But I think people are slowly warming to Camilla. I think the sort of anti-Camilla crowd via the crown, and then you obviously got all the Diana stuff, is somewhat died down because she's grown up and she's done a pretty good job, I think, as consort. And so it's hard to, I think, demonize her for that. But at the same time, too, Charles and Camilla, I mean, I hate to say it. And I know some people are like, well, he is king and everything. And I get that. But they are old. And for young people, especially, that might not be that attractive. That's why I was really hoping it might be the Waleses who come. Obviously, not this year, which works for me. To be quite honest, maybe next year, because you do need that infusion of youth. And Charles seems more, and I know some people again will have issue with this, more like a relic of the past than a way to the future. So I would say Charles definitely goes, but once after that, followed by probably Catherine, William, and the kids next year, I think would be fantastic because Charlotte and George have at least been to Canada as another major Commonwealth state. I mean, George has been to Australia, but Louis has not been on any big royal tours. So I think it's time. I think it's time. We have Kimberly. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Brittany. And we got Gina. Good morning from Las Vegas, where it is finally fall. What do you think is up with them in their new Portugal holiday home? Is Prince Harry running away? Yeah, I think it's more Harry. I think it's more of a Harry base of operations. And I guess I'm giving a bit of away, but I need to do more research for the video. Anyways, but I would bet you he purchased this with money from his inheritance he just gotten. I wouldn't be surprised if this is more in Harry's name than hers. That's just my personal opinion. So, anyways, we got Manganella says, good morning, everyone from Pennsylvania. And we have Why Do That? Good morning from sunny Manitoba, Canada. Today's my daughter's 6th birthday, so I'll be listening while getting all the party stuff together. Oh, well, happy birthday to her. Sarah said, heard another commentator speculate that Harry and Meghan spending time apart and Meghan not wearing her engagement ring is probably a publicity ploy to get airtime. Love your live shows. Thank you. And that could be true. But she did not wear it much of last year. And I don't think it made the headlines as much as it probably should have. Like it was missing for pretty much all of 2023. And I noted it. I don't think I ever ended up doing like a full video on it. But it was definitely something that was noticeable. But like the thing is, I hate to say it, is just these publicity stunts, yes, you get more airtime, but it's not helping them. She looks like a woman who's so like hung up on and like desperate for attention. Like she cannot stop. She cannot stop. And she's going to drag them both. I want to say like into the grave, but that's not right. But she will drag them both into the ground doing these kind of things. She likes to play the games, but the games don't work at this level. She could sort of maybe do that as a no-name actress from Suits. But once she's on this sort of high-profile level, it just comes across as the desperate games that it is. And sure, her fans eat it up. I mean, the amount of people who ate up Harry being in a giant pool with the perfect wave and go, oh, he's enjoying his California life. I'm like, he's in a giant freaking swimming pool. This is surfing lessons for dummies, let's be honest. He can't even get out into the big boy ocean. He has to go to a fantasy camp to make this happen. This is for lazy people, in my personal opinion. So I just don't see the two of them this working long term. I just don't see this. Anyways, so Christine says, good morning. Good morning, cool in Metro Detroit today. Sharon can mostly just listen to also. Oh, Caroline says, why do that? Have a big happy sixth birthday to your daughter. Hope she has a blast at her party with her friends. Laura says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. What do you think is next for Meghan? Do you think the separation rumors are true? So, what I will say is that when it comes to the separation situation, obviously we know for sure they're going their separate ways business wise. And Harry's gonna essentially be a kept man. Like his entire ploy in life as a philanthropist is now based on her salary. Like he did his things with Spare in particular, brought in, I think, probably the most money for them out of everything. But now they're gonna rely on American Riviera Orchard, which is gonna need a lot of capital to start up. So I imagine she's investing a lot of their money into that. And if that doesn't work, they're screwed. And I don't have high hopes for that. But I always ever gave them 5 years. Obviously, they're going on 7. But they make their lives so needlessly complicated and stressful that this will drive a wedge between them. And I imagine at some point they will. Like, I feel like this is a precursor to an actual separation at some point. Like, it's already kind of like they're kinda know it's coming, but they're, like, trying to salvage what they can. Because when you start going down, if you're like so salt and pepper, you have to do everything together. And then you start doing like this, you might realize pretty quickly that you like being by yourself or that it's better without your partner there. And if it's better without your partner there professionally, it might be better there without your partner personally too. That's just sort of reality in this situation. So I don't know if they're actually separated. I would not be surprised if they're not at this point, but are they maybe leading separate lives now? Are they maybe in a stressful spot where they're not quite as in love with each other as they were, that this Romeo and Juliet situation is starting to slowly disintegrate? Yeah, I would not be surprised if that's true. GDX says, has live started? I can't see it yet. Yeah, just came in. I was a little bit late. Nancy said, good morning from Atlanta. Julie says, good morning. Betty said, good morning from Oklahoma. Bectopia says, I'm excited. My husband and I are separating, so I'm fleeing Colorado for the East Coast. Well, I'm sorry that you are separating, but yes, I understand why maybe fleeing Colorado would be nice because it is very, very cool there. But I hope you are guys able to get through that well. I know that's definitely a big challenge. Gemstone Girl says, afternoon from Bath. Francis, hi from Austin. Hey, Francis. Tanya Black says, good morning, Arnon Peeps. We got Azima who said, hi, Texas Sunshine. Just gave a wave. GDX says, there we are. Good morning, Brittany and Pippa. Good morning. Good afternoon from Scotland. From Lindsay, we got Kieran. Hello from California. We got Monica. Good morning from Arizona. Cindy. Good morning, all. Godzilla Man. Hello, all. Melissa, question. Are you planning on making a fashion video covering all Mary's looks from the Icelandic state visit? So I think probably the window has passed for that. But I may try maybe doing some shorts when after like a tour is done or something to be a little bit shorter there. I do need to do a video of the best and worst dress list. Like I keep thinking I'll get to it, but it's like the last couple weeks have just been weird. I don't know. Like every once in a while, do you just ever had that time where it's just weird and nothing gets accomplished? I feel like that's been like this last week, especially. But we will do a best and worst dress list. A couple of those looks will be on there. But yeah, it may be worthwhile to do. They're introducing 3-minute shorts here at some point. So I may upload something even if it's a little bit longer, but it's just 3 minutes and just share. If you've seen those before, some people go review of all the outfits from something. And so that might be an easy way to do it. Water says it's been great to see the real royals out and about. Yes, it's so funny. Fun. Deborah says, good morning from Chile, Alabama. Good job on Dan Wooten again. Why, thank you. Paige says, good morning from Epcot World Showcase. Well, I hope you have fun. Teaspoon says, good morning, everyone. And Matthew says, Brittany, hi, Brittany, Miss Pippa, and all our Arnen friends. Why, thank you. And I will say when it comes to Epcot, my favorite thing was going to Japan and getting the pearls. Picking out your clam, getting your pearl. My favorite thing. Sharon says, hi, Brittany and Pippa from North Carolina. Hi, Sharon. Alexandra says, hello from late afternoon, Bulgaria. Love your channel. Why, thank you. There's a show on it's on USA Network, but I'm sure, kind of everything goes everywhere anymore. And is the show Psych, and there's kind of a funny episode where the guy's kind of faking trying to speak Spanish, and he goes, Me gusta Bulgaria." That's what I was thinking. I love that little bit. Demetra, good morning, everyone. We got Stephanie. Good morning. Good Sunday morning from Hobart, Tasmania, 1 a.m. here. Brittany, love your hair, Brittany. Why, thank you. It's a little messy, but it's one of those things where the curls that I put in yesterday are kind of there. So I'm like, if I brush it, it'll just make it look worse. So I'm like, well, it's a little, let's see. I don't know if it's stylish messy or just messy. So we'll see. Water says, for a couple so in love, they're spending a lot of time apart. Yes. Well, I think they always kind of were, but I think it's more pronounced now. Care says, hello, you look fab. Love the jewelry you wear. Karen from St. Louis, Missouri. Why, thank you. Anna Lucia here. Got my eternity band and the tennis bracelet. Oops, is hiding down there. Isabel says, why are you giving clickbait if they are irrelevant, unimportant people? So it's not actually clickbait. Clickbait, by definition, is saying that, oh, you have a secret about so-and-so, click here to learn more, and then you never reveal the secret. That's clickbait. So clickbait is by necessity misleading. I'm not doing clickbait. I'm doing things that people are interested in, hoping having to have an interesting title. And yes, they are, in terms of the future of the monarchy, very constitutionally relevant. Oops, sorry, Miss Pippa. But at the same time, they are worth discussing. And honestly, people like watching the car wreck they've made of their lives. People like, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. There are endless sources of entertainment for all the wrong reasons. Reasons that are not going to make them money, not going to make them successful. That is why they're entertaining. People are watching the mess. So, is Charles getting, and this is from Asma, backlash in Australia? A little bit. The premiers are apparently not going to meet with them, which I think is in poor form, in poor taste on their part. And we'll see how that goes in the future in Australia. But yeah, it'll be an interesting visit. And I think the good thing about this visit could be Charles should open up the door, share, his perspective, be the king and everything, and so that they get used to him. And then maybe next year the Waleses can go. Because I think Charles's reign will be fairly short overall. I think William will reign longer than his father. Depends on how serious the cancer is as well. And the best, I think, Charles, and if he's smart and he wants the legacy of the British monarchy to continue, because the Brits have been just so off when it comes to how everything else has played out for most of the rest of the royal families, that the best thing he can do is lay the groundwork for, in some ways, his own reign, but also trying to connect it to his son's future reign as well. Teresa says, good morning from the North Carolina coast. Vicky says, don't forget to hit the like button. Yes. And it says, and as Ains Nido says, hello from Johannesburg, South Africa. We got Carrie. Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. I finally made it to live. Of course, I've just retired, so no more work on Saturdays. Good for you, Carrie. Whoop, whoop. Congratulations. We got Shaz, who's been a member for 10 months, says, Harry hasn't even stood up for his wife. No, he hasn't. And I posited at the time, and I think this could still be somewhat true, is that in some ways Harry is behind that bullying allegations report, or, encourage Josh Kettler, maybe Lindsay and a couple others to share that, because he came out of all this looking pretty good. She's the one who's the problem. Like, that's clearly came through. Now, I think he has his own massive problems. I think he's completely directionless, completely useless in many ways. Like, the one thing he is good at is being a royal. Other than that, apparently the guy is not good at anything. And I don't say that to be mean. It's just like, literally, he's given up on being anything except for a cosplay royal. And that's why him being frivolous and going to a surf camp is probably, and having them publicize it, like, he can go, of course, probably a dumb idea to publicize it, because all of it reminds people of is that you have nothing else going on and you have nothing else to do. And you're supposed to look like a statesman. But in order to be a statesman, I'm sorry, but you need to also be a working man. You have to be a working man. You've lost your royal connections. Therefore, ergo, you can't really have the same influence as a philanthropist as you would like to. You need to actually have a job. You cannot have your job be a philanthropist. It cannot be that. It just can't. And I think Dan Wooten in his he sent me before we did our interview a write-up that he had done recently on Harry and Meghan. And I think it's true. Harry was good at low energy, low effort royal engagements where he gets to be treated like a prince and then go home. The guy cannot put any other effort into anything. It's clear. He couldn't do a podcast. Netflix is going to collapse the deal and they're going to be left with nothing. At some point, the money is going to run out. Like it can't not run out at some point. Jeannie gifted 10 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much, Jeannie. I hope you're doing fantastic, wonderful, and amazing. All right, so let's see. Anastasia says, how are they going to hide the phantom kids in Portugal? It's actually going to be a bit easier because, to be quite honest, the laws when it comes to photographing children in Europe are much stricter than in the States. So Janet says, heard the Sussexes turned down fake India tour this month. I don't think that was really a thing. DGATSF. Maybe they see the handwriting on the wall and that President Trump will win the election. We'll look into Harry's visa application Archwell. Honestly, depending on who wins the election, like Harry's situation is like the bottom rung of issues in this country. I don't give two craps, to be quite honest. I don't give two craps. So if he wants to stay, he can stay. Like, I don't really care. I don't think it's going to be an issue for him. Deirdre says, good morning, Brittany. Glad Mike Tyndall's finally getting praise for easily acclimating into the RF. Yes, he said it was very easy. You just had to be nice. And I think also easy. Meghan was not easy. She deliberately, I think, tried to make people uncomfortable, like asking Catherine for her lip gloss before they went on stage. Like, and Harry goes, well, it's an American thing. I guess it's an American thing. Like, no, it's not, Prince Harry, by the way. It is not an American thing. It is a creepy Meghan Markle thing. It's creepy. It makes her look gross. Like, I would not ask my sister. I would barely be able to ask my mother for her lip gloss, let alone a stranger. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people. I know there are those people. And if that doesn't bother you, great. I just had the issue with the germies. And so oh my gosh, guys. I have for the members, I have a video to edit of all the stuff that I got for free. And one of the things that I had like such a visceral reaction to it is they gave us, there was like a candy shop and it was very sweet. They gave us some candies or whatever. One of the things they gave us was a pickle in like a bag. And I'm like, ugh, like a dill pickle, like, ugh. Gosh, it makes me cringe just thinking about it. Letitia says, buenos dias, Brittany. Greetings from very beautiful and chilly day in Connecticut. Hello, Miss Pippa from Maya and Lily. Woof, woof. Miss Pippa says, woof, woof from my feet. Joan says, Beatrice and her husband were there. You can see them in the video. Oh, awesome. I just know that Lady Kitty Spencer did speak. So that is great. I'll have to look again. Sometimes I miss certain things. Again, it's been one of those weird, tough weeks. I was working on a project, which you will see on the fashion channel, because when we went to our event, Joe Malone was one of the sponsors. And so you can see, actually, that's not what I got from them, but Joe Malone donated stuff to us. And so I did a little short talking about Catherine's favorite scent here, which is this orange blossom one. And so I did a little thing. It's on the fashion channel as a short, because one of your guys, when I did my live stream right after I met her, like the most consistent question I got from you guys is, what does she smell like? And I'm like, I don't know. But I thought that would be they like asked for shorts to maybe feature in their holiday campaign. I don't know if quite that would work, but one of the things I did for them, the other one I'll probably post later closer to Christmas because it's more Christmas themed. But one of the things I did for them was like, well, I met her and people asked what she smells like. And I don't know, but reportedly, this is one of her favorite scents and one she used at her wedding. So anyways, so that's what I was doing, at least a good chunk of Thursday and Friday for just a short. I'm sure you're all wondering what. But I had a friend help me. We were trying to get really creative about what to do because I haven't done much product things in that way. And so I was just trying to think of something interesting, and I needed some bit of like somebody to bounce ideas off of. It ended up being a lot of fun. And Mangala says, hi, Brittany. How did they afford another home? I was thinking they were going broke. This is so strange to me. It is strange. I think it's Harry's inheritance. That's what I think it is. And again, I need to do a deep dive into what they could be paying for. Let's see. like what are they paying in maintenance, taxes, how much probably Harry made from his book. Because again, I don't think they're making that much for Netflix anymore, and they have production partners now, which they did not have before. So any money they make, even if something is a smash hit, they have to split a lot more ways than they did before because they controlled everything. And I think Netflix was like, okay, when you guys controlled everything, it sucked. Except for the one thing we knew would be successful. Everything else has been a disaster. So I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to fix this by hiring other people because we can't trust you to do this. We're not going to give you any more money for production until you actually get actual production partners and people who know what they're doing, which you too clearly do not. I think that was the ultimatum they were given. So again, I don't think they have a ton of money coming in, but I'll have to look into it because I think this is kind of a dumb mistake. I think they're really banking, or Meghan's especially really banking on it, American Riviera Orchard being a smash hit. I don't think it's going to be that. And I actually I've let my lemons kind of rot a bit in that bowl because I was like, I want to do my course series on American River Orchard. And then I also want to do a series on, or not a series, but a one-off for Halloween. So we will hopefully get there. We got Madam Esther. Good afternoon from gloomy London. Top of the morning, top of the afternoon to you. Lady Aviator says, good morning, everyone from Huntsville, Alabama. Don't stop doing your lives, Brittany. It's a highlight of my Saturday. Well, definitely will not. Selena says, hi, Brittany. Haven't caught a live in ages, but always watching. My thank you. Mila says, Kamala loses staff. Trump grabs staff members. What is better? Okay. We don't have any evidence of, let's see, the former or the latter. Really the latter. But again, not to get political, but this is not neither here nor there. But again, sorry. But the sort of the departure of staff members, that was a thing with Kamala, and there were bad reports coming out about her office. So it's just pretty much a verified fact. I remember in the beginning of the administration. Tanya Black says, watching from a beautiful Ohio today. Butterbugs Baked Goods. I'm glad you are doing well. Glad to see you here. Good morning, Brittany and Ms. Pippa from Asheville, North Carolina. Arf, arf. We have been thinking about you because I know you were from Asheville. So I was like, oh man, I hope you are doing well. Renee says, good morning, Brittany and Ms. Pippa from cloudy Guatemala. DP says, Brittany, what is your opinion on Portugal property purchase? Do you think it's real or another puff piece for fodder? I mean, it could definitely be fake. Richard Eden has a pretty good track record, so I imagine it's probably true. But the question is, what's the purpose of it? It doesn't make a ton of sense, to be honest. Water says, do you think they're moving to a cheaper place because they're losing money? They might be. Might give them maybe a bit of a better tax situation, but maybe not, because now you're involving 3 countries. Because he'll still probably have to pay taxes to the UK. She'll have to still pay taxes to the US. And then they may have to pay something to Portugal. Maybe not. I think that's probably not. But they also have to invest $500,000 into Portugal, at least, like venture capital. And I don't think they have that kind of money to throw around, to be quite honest. That's a lot of money. Sandra says, hi, Brittany and everyone from the Netherlands. We have Esther. Good morning from Abilene, Texas. Asma says, sunny here in Bristol. We got Aram Scout. Good morning from Mexico. Sunny days. Good love from Scotland. Margaret says, good afternoon from Worcester. Hi, Miss Pippa. The Crow says, oh, wow, I made a live. Yes, you did. Terry says, good morning from Dallas. Alana says, good morning from warm NYC. Manic Bonsai says, hi, Brittany. Good morning. It's wet here in Britain. And we got Jane McGarry here. Glorious day here in Dublin, Ireland. Lizzie says, good morning, all from sunny and warm Wisconsin. It was 32 degrees in the morning 2 days ago, but 56 today. That's nice. We got Kimberly says we'll be here to laugh at what I try not to curse on the air. So dumb butts do. Yes, if they do. Yeah. You'll be there to laugh at them. People want to laugh at them. That's sad but true. Asma says, doesn't Australia Republic realize that King Charles said leave if you want? Good luck getting the Australian people on board with this. Yeah, there will be, I think, some decent level of protest. I just think the whole thing's kind of quite dumb, to be honest. I'm like, why are you there complaining? If you have issues, like, take them up later. Bar Jumbo says, I always get your notifications, even though I do not watch most of the time. I have better things to do. Well, I'm glad you have better things to do too. But it is fun. I know other people have things to do on Saturday mornings and everything. So I appreciate all of you guys who come here and really, really enjoy it. All right. Diz fan says, even though they are not working royals, they have a great respect for the Tyndalls now since they are replacing the aunt and uncle role with the Waleses. Yes, 150%. Harry has lost so much ground with his niece, his nephews and niece that he won't ever get it back. They're very close to the Tyndalls. They had great fun. And sadly, too, his children will miss out on a relationship with their cousins and second cousins and everything because he's decided that it's more important for Meghan Markle to try to fulfill her dreams than it is for him to try to have a relationship with his family. And so Catherine and William have moved on. And I don't think that was intentional. I mean, technically, Harry, yes, will always be their uncle. But to the kids, their real uncle is Mike. It probably is Mike. And probably maybe Peter too. And Zara is their aunt. And that is who they're closest with. That's who they spend a lot more time with. And so Harry and Meghan and the kids, the mistake Harry and Meghan have made with making themselves so irrelevant is going to come back and bite them on the butt. Because I guarantee you, when William is king, because I think Charles is too chicken to do it, because I think he's like, well, if my son wants to come back, yada, yada, yada. I think William will be the one. And I have argued this is the simplest thing to do because it protects the future while also, you could say, punishing the present, if you want to call it punishing, is make the titles only be applicable to those who live and educated in the UK. If you don't live and are educated in the UK, you do not need a prince or princess title from the country. You just don't. And make that retroactive. That immediately eliminates Archie and Lily's titles, which Harry and Meghan claimed they didn't want anyways. And then all of a sudden they did. Like, they need to pick a lane. But Meghan, and I think Dan Wooten is right as well, and I've argued this too, she just wants the money. That's all she cares about is the money. That's, at the end of the day, that's the only thing driving her is the cash. So, okay, let's see. Bar Jumbo says, Gianna says, Smith says, why are two little children not in first grade scrolling in the internet? No idea. Yeah, they should not be scrolling on the internet. But Harry makes it think it's just so weird. Catherine, it says, I'm sorry I'm late. Love from West Yorkshire. Why, thank you. John Paul says hello. DS says, I love your t-shirt. Where can I order one? So this is a specialty thing that I had ordered for me for when I travel and stuff. It's from North Face, actually, and it has the RNN logo. I did lose my big jacket though. So if you ever see somebody walking around with a North Face jacket with the RNN logo on it, that is mine. Tell them they need to let me know. They need to give it back. I left it on the plane by accident and never saw it again. It's very sad. Anyways, so these probably will not be for sale just because they're more meant for like professional type use. But I'm hoping, I need to get working with a friend again, hoping to get more t-shirts. I do have some still of the original Recollections may vary, but I think I'll do probably a redesign for it and work with something like Fourth Wall to get them out. So that way they can ship them to more countries and everything. Because that's something I know people from Australia and the UK would love them. I just can't ship them because of all the costs associated with, what is it? Not tariffs. I can't remember. There's some sort of tax associated with it. And it's really complicated. So I just have decided not to do it. But I will be going to Europe in December. Like, I have to go because we're going on the trip as a group. So I have to go. So I am planning, though, on actually bringing whatever probably inventory I have left, probably bringing with me and seeing if people want to purchase them directly from me while there. I think that'll be the easiest way to get rid of the rest of the stock. But we will also have some sort of redesign out too for Recollections may vary. I have a idea for something else as well. But when it comes to these will be something I keep. I do actually have t-shirts with just the logo on it, but I still may keep those just because I bought them more as, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh no, she's not there. Something else. I keep thinking I'm stepping on Pippa's paw and it's not it. And so it's something I won't sell, but yeah, I like them. They're comfortable. They're warm. So that's why I got them. Wendy said Harry is ill prepared for any career. At best he could glad hand, but he's not cannot be a politician either. He should have stayed in the military and they'd cover him. Too bad he fell for Meghan's entrapment. Not smart. So thank you so much for the tip, Wendy. And yeah, he's ill equipped for any career. And he is just, he's lazy. I think he's lazy. I think he's entitled. I think he's completely and totally entitled. And Meghan has not helped that situation. She has inflated his ego too, to their own detriment. And I think her ego is inflated. And she doesn't really want to work either. Like neither one of them really want to work. Like you could be successful. You have to put in a lot of work though. I was looking and I couldn't believe I have it because I have 400 some odd videos, or maybe it's 600 or something. I can't remember. Do you know how much work that represents? A lot of work. I stayed up hours at night, sometimes trying to get videos done. It it's a time suck. It like you have to have effort and intention and so many different things. And neither Harry or Meghan really have that. And I think they're so entitled that they can't get things done. They just can't. And everything is sort of falling apart because in part of the work issue. The work issue, I think, is one of the things that is crippling them is their inability to work. Harry had no training on how to have a job. I don't think he couldn't stay in the military though either because he had basically gotten to the point where he had to pass some sort of like written test or something and he wasn't smart enough to be an officer. And so he just bowed out or he didn't put in enough effort to actually be an officer. So he had to either he kind of had to get out. He had no choice. And yes, the Invictus Games are great, but at the same time too, it's not a job or career, and I don't think the Invictus Games is making any money. I think it's a money drain. The money drain wherever it goes, and it's going to lose its bandwidth at some point. Somebody's gonna balk at the cost and go, Well, what do I get from this?" And they'll have a something that tries to show that effect, and it's like, "But that's nothing. That's nothing. I need more than what you're giving me right here." And Harry and Meghan, I don't think can give it. I don't think they have it. It's really quite sad in some ways. Kristen, thank you so much for the tip as well. Would love a video of the close relationships between the royals. There are so many sweet interactions between Catherine and Sophie. Yes, it can be definitely something we work on at some point. Like there's so many videos I would love to get to. It's usually more of a time issue. And I would love though to get to something like that because I think that would be oh so fun. Because there are a lot of really great relationships between various royals. The crow says, I'm having flashbacks of his uncle who gave up his crown with him buying a house. Yeah, does seem like that. Denise says, good morning, Brittany. Wishing you a blessed weekend. Why, thank you. And Matthew says, Brittany, do you know if there's any significant contact between Harry and Meghan and Princess Beatrice? Because her sister's relationship with them is she tarred by the same brush. She teams tight with King Charles and the Prince of Wales. I don't think she's that. I don't think Beatrice was ever that close to Harry. Maybe a little bit at some point, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So I don't think though she's tarred by, and usually he hasn't really publicly spent any time either with Harry and Meghan since Spare, really. I mean, she was there. What was it? I can't remember exactly when she was there, but I feel like it was in 2022 more before Spare and the Netflix show came out. Since then, she's kept her distance as far as we're aware. Like we haven't heard any rumors of them vacationing or her going out to California to spend time with them. I think in part because it's like they burn so many bridges. It's like if you're royal, you're smart. It's like you know where your bread is buttered, and it's with the king. It is. John Paul says, keep the duo away from my country. Yes, Get a Grip says, Brittany, I would love to see your comparative analysis on Harry versus Mike Tyndall, as Mike seems to now occupy the place Harry used to. Yes, Mike Tyndall seems to be lovely, and I think he's just easy in terms of having a relationship with. Stephanie says the British Republican movement, people have come to Australia to protest for no valid reason. Yeah, they're just like stalking him across continents now. It seems very annoying. Water says Mimi married Meghan in England. Does she still need a visa? Yes. Like she probably does. She's not a British citizen, so she'll need a visa of some sort. Carrie says Europe is big. Yep, it is. It is big, but there's a lot of titled people in that big country, in that big continent. Kara says, I saw a clip about the Duchess of Edinburgh and how emotional it was. Love her. Yes, I did a whole video about, well, I put it in part of the Crown Report. So I may have to cut the clip out of Sophie and share that later because, yeah, we'll be doing another Crown Report this week. And hopefully, yeah, the last one didn't perform super well, but I do love doing them. So we will do another one. Pia says, "Hi, Brittany, listening to you while driving from West Virginia to Colorado. Woohoo! Well, I hope you have fun, Pia." Water says, "Okay, when someone marries an American in America, they have a visa to come and go like citizens. Didn't know if it was like that in England. That I'm not too sure about. Like she had to be there on some sort of visa initially when she was there, but beyond that, because of the strange status now, I don't know what she would have. Because you can go as a US citizen, you can vacation in the UK for a particular period of time. She can't go visit family for 3 months at a time at least and not have need to have a visa if she makes money from a British company, yes. So, like, when I go and I travel, I am technically making money, but I'm making money in the United States because I'm posting videos that are, although I'm posting them in Europe, they're basically funneled through the United States. Now, if I went to Europe, let's say, and I got contracted by a company to work for them, then I would actually need a work visa for that, if that makes sense. Asma says, "I love Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh." Yes. Adopt GDX says, "I think the house in Portugal is another escape pod for the pair, just like Canada was, an escape from their own bad publicity." I just don't think it'll help much. Like they even disappear for periods of time. It's still not working. Mary Marr says, "Not this time. It's Megan lying again." American Woman says, "Hi, all. Long time no see." Yeah. Janice says, "Good morning from Oregon." Good morning. Just Me says, "Bar Jumbo. It's okay if you don't want to watch, but you don't have better things to do than come to Brittany's channel. You said you have better things to do. So do that and don't be rude." Oh, Margaret says the mail is becoming another Harry and Meghan mouthpiece. If they are getting stories, then and they're sharing them, hey, no worries. But I almost think in some ways they're trolling by being too complimentary because everybody's like, oh, it's like almost rage baiting. Rosanna says, "Good morning, Brittany. I don't know how they can afford a house in California and Europe." Yep. Yep. That was my question. Baby Pip is on squirrel patrol. she's she's like looking at me and she's like, "I want to be up here." Janice says, "Looking fabulous, Miss Pippa." Yes, she is. Let's see. Oh yeah, she's at my feet. She's at my feet. She's curled up on her blanket. Halloween colors. Happy fall, Miss Pippa. She likes her Halloween color. Caroline says, "Seems to me Megan believes the whole world revolves around California." Yeah, she's one of those um coastal liberals where like only the world of LA and like New York exist and the rest of the flyover states of the United States they don't give two craps about is what they usually call them. And somebody because I had to come over and see her. Now she's like, "Well, I got to come and see what's up here." You want to click Miss Pippa? Ready? Nope. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I was going to say she could click on the next comment, but she don't want to. Isabel says, "Archwell Castle coming to screens near you." Jane says, "If she hates my country so much, she sure as hell is hanging on to her title." Yep. Yeah. Because it's the only thing that makes her relevant in some ways. It's, it's so annoying too, because it's like she acts like she came to her position because of her talent or her words or her accolades or whatever. It's like, no. It's the dude you married. That's the only reason Netflix looked at you twice. Asma says there isn't a monarchy in Portugal. There is not, but there was one at some point. Memories are what make us who we are. Says, "Good morning, Brittany." Good morning. Gail says, "Who cares about the Markles? They have become so boring and useless." They are almost kind of boring because they kind of do the same thing over and over again in some ways, but people still like the chaos and the mess. Judith says, "Good morning. Do you think the missing 4 million has something to do with the possibility of a move to Portugal?" No. I honestly I need to look into that, but I would not put too much stock in that to be quite honest. That's an IRS issue if that's happening. I think it's probably just identified as something else and people are missing that. I just don't think there's that much missing. Sorry to that's just my personal thought. Aram says, "Woof woof, Miss Pippa." She says, "Woof woof." There will be a soon. Water says, "Why do they insist on going to the countries who don't want a monarchy and try to make a monarchy? Because they're desperate people." Ah, what are you doing? What are you doing? Amanda said, "I heard it's a tax haven. A little bit, but the IRS will still come after you." Like, you may not have to pay taxes in Portugal, but you still have to pay US taxes. The US tax thing doesn't go away because you're in Portugal. Stephanie says it's fair enough if Australians want a republic to comment and protest, but aren't really. But Brits who want the UK to become a republic have no right to come to Australia and protest a British issue. Yeah, I find sometimes people who are so dedicated to something like that become really annoying because it's like, we don't really want you here, though. Right? Right? Yeah. Yeah. So GL Hunter says she wanted to be queen. Yes, Meghan wanted to be queen. That's her real issue with the British monarchy, is that she realized all of a sudden that even though she knew she married the sixth in line to the throne, and I think in some ways intellectually she knew she married the sixth in line to the throne. She thought to a certain extent it was a popularity contest and she could make herself or push herself up to the forefront and nobody would say two words because, oh, they need the flash of an American because all the Brits are so dour and boring. No, that's not really how it works. Brandy says, morning, everyone. Having a beautiful sunny day here in Midwest Missouri. And we have Princess Goose with Liam Payne's death. It makes you wonder how people will be celebrated in death. Harry would be the memories pre-wedding. I think Meghan would have a few Suits fans and Sussex stands. Yes. And I think the Sussex stands are technically a small minority. I just don't think they would be definitely interesting to consider. And like, would they be like the downfall of the monarchy at some point? Who knows? But I don't think they'll be looked at fondly. Madam Esther says, oh my goodness, my keyboard, it's against me. It's no monarchy in Portugal, and the Duke of Braganza keeps a very low key profile. Yeah. So yeah, there is definitely royals in terms of titled people there in Portugal, but they're not really making much of a fuss. So Harry Meghan, though. Patricia says, good morning, everyone. Lizzie B says, that goes to show that she didn't care about her future husband's nationality. No, she didn't. Margaret says, water, I don't think marrying into the UK means she gets a visa. It does not. She had to have some sort of visa, but she wasn't a citizen. There's a different. Alice Simo says she wanted the publicity and the title. Yes. Isabel says, and they need a Photoshop with the kids. Yes. Yeah. Allison says, I truly believe she was a royal stalker. Yeah. Mary Marr says, for money, fame, and power. The point is money and status, John Paul says. Margaret says she wanted the title. Rich says her desperation and constant failures are seriously comical. It is funny. It is funny. They are endless sources of entertainment for all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. Kristen M says, I think Harry and Meghan Flo throw plans out just for attention. They are getting lots of media attention versus quality coverage. We'll never learn the way of doing things that is not working. No, it is not working. None of it is working. Momster says, hi, everyone. So happy I made this live. Queenie says, H has relatives living in Germany. His grandfather, Prince Philip, had 3 sisters, each married German noblemen. I think Harry wanted to be near his cousin Eugenie. That's what I would lean more towards, is Eugenie being somebody that Harry is interested in, and Harry having an escape pod, not really that it was much of Meghan's idea. Nick Pearson says, I read somewhere that Anne has some control over Harry's trust and that he wouldn't lose everything in a divorce settlement. Thoughts? Is it possible she is trying to protect Harry from himself? I wouldn't put too much stock in the Anne stuff, to be quite honest. But my understanding is that some of his stuff, his inheritance, will not be taxed. So he may just be using it to fund himself for a little bit. Charlemagne tastes a beer pocket TV says, LOL, Columbia doesn't need them for more negative feedback. No. Wanda Jones says, good morning from Ohio. Vicky says, I agree she's a royal stalker, except the wife had the fantasy that it was a Disney movie life with birds singing her wake and animals dancing with her and no work to accomplish every single day. Yep. Mary says they bought nothing. Lizzie says, hit that like button, everyone. Yes. Blue Sky says, good morning, all from West Glacier, Montana. We are surrounded by snow-covered mountains. How awesome. Jill Cummings says, can you double check something for me, Brittany? Somewhere along the line, I read that the king has the entire complete custody of all the direct heirs, and that is why she kept his name off the birth certificate. That is false when it comes to the name on the birth certificate. That's not really an issue. Charles's name is nowhere on the birth certificate. So the issue is, and I haven't done too much research into this because I think it's an antiquated notion and one that will never be enacted because people have said, and it is somewhat true, that there is an issue with, in terms of the heirs, the monarch having some sort of control over custody. The question is, will they ever exercise it? And the answer is no. Charles will never exercise it. I don't even know if Archie and Lily technically even fall under that umbrella. They may not. But this idea that Charles or somebody is going to say, "Oh, intercede and get custody," he would be raked over the coals for that. He'll never do it. Even if he could, he would never do it. I don't see the point. I just don't. Yeah, I would just ignore that, to be quite honest. Renee says, I agree, Megan will keep hitting herself with the wall in California. She will keep trying and 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 trying. I mean, she's missing the one key component to make her successful, and that is talent, hard work, ethics, those sorts of things. That's what's killing her. Lizzie B says, again, I don't think she was ever embraced in Hollywood like she wanted to before now. That is true. That's true. Cheyenne says it's cheaper to live in Portugal. Yes, I would agree with that. Dop GDX says, okay, so if it is Harry who wishes to escape Portugal, then I suppose the kids will. So sorry, guys. I accidentally got a little too trigger happy with my back button. I like sometimes the back thing is sensitive, and I made it go too far back. So I did lose some of the comments, but we'll continue going this. So yeah, the kids will never go. It doesn't want the kids to go anywhere. So if you made a comment before 10:53 and I have not commented, I did lose your comment. I'm so sorry. Oh man. I hate it when I do that. Bebop says William and Beatrice are close due to their age. The same with Eugenie and Harry. They're closer in age than Beatrice and Harry. Actually, Beatrice and Harry would technically be closer in age than Harry and Eugenie because Beatrice is older than Eugenie and Harry is younger than William. So Lizzie says Harry had topped out on promotions because he was unable to pass tests. They wanted to move into a desk job because of the expense of having him do anything else. Yeah. So he kind of pooped out of that. Paul Donham says Canadian citizens don't in the main want Meghan involved in Invictus 2025. I'm like, Canadian citizens may not want it, but I think the Invictus kids, I think they want it because they know she brings attention. And other than that, they're not getting any eyes on them. Whatever they do without Harry and Meghan gets no attention. No one cares. And so, but unfortunately, too, I think she drags down the competition. So it's not like she's even helping. Corey says Meghan can remain a EU Shenzhen for 3 months in any 6-month period without a visa. Family is irrelevant. Yes. I mean, it's a portion of that's why she could be going. Marie B says, Brittany, I know that it's likely that Harry has destroyed his relationship with William for good, but do you think they'll ever come to the point of being cordial or spending time together? All said. At sometime at some point, but that will not happen until Harry divorces Meghan. He has to divorce Meghan. Until he does that, nothing will move. Nothing will move. Steven says, Brittany, license your design to local printers. I mean, I can, but I don't really want to totally do that either. But yeah, like local printers is good, but it's so much more expensive to ship. So there are companies that do like on-demand printing and ship and do everything for you, which would be awesome. Mara says, watching from sunny Halifax in Nova Scotia. So happy to tune in to a live today. Bebop says, I heard that because Daily Mail has signed a new person called Bryony, who's more pro Harry and Meghan. If he has, I mean, if they do, that's their prerogative. Like they can do what they want. But I think some of it is just not going to land well. Jackie Cordovan, hey Jackie, hi all. I treasure my T-shirt from our trip to London and the Cotswolds. Great Rip, so much fun we have. Great trip, so much fun we have. Love to you and your mom, Brittany from Australia. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. I hope you're doing well. I know my mom has enjoyed the trips she's been on. She's had so much fun with them. Daisy May says, I think Buckingham Palace PR should get an award. They created a brilliant image of Prince Harry. We are only seeing the reality now. Complete opposite. Paul Donham says, believe that the royal family have distanced themselves from Eugenie and Beatrice. Not sure they trust them. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Casey says gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. So I thank you so much, Casey. You are so kind. I know a lot of people will really appreciate that. Chatty says there is some new visa requirements that is needed even if you are transitioning from one flight to another to at say Heathrow and never step on foot in the UK. Oh yeah, there is a new thing when you're traveling to the UK, and thankfully this won't affect me this year, but you have to like do like it's like a $15 fee. So it's really minimal, but there is now like a little visa thing that you have to get. It's not like a true visa, but it's something you have to pay for to like get into the UK, which I think is ridiculous. SEJ says it's probably just a California thing. It has nothing to do with politics. Margaret says hi, Miss Pippa. She says hi. Minky Mumu says hi, Miss Pippa. Otter says Harry could have been a very important spare if he didn't meet Meghan. He could have been William's number one guy next to Catherine, but Meghan ruined it. Yep. Meghan seems to ruin a lot of things for a lot of people. Daisy May says Pippa is adorable. She is adorable. She honestly is very adorable. Gemini Mother says hello from Queensland. A World Gone Mad says, I have friends who moved to live on Lisbon during the pandemic. Portugal was offering passports, no taxes to lure people in. Majority now fleeing because the economy is not strong. Yes. And you have to make now, it's not just real estate you have to purchase. You have to make a big infusion of investment. And I just don't know if Harry and Meghan have $500,000 to plop down that they might never get back. World Gone Mad said, hence I believe he's getting paid to promote the development. Well, they haven't really promoted the development yet. So I don't think that's really the case because you have to, I don't even know where they're supposed to be living. Defense Straight says, I wonder if Harry is worried about the Diddy tape coming out. No, I don't think there's anything to the Diddy stuff. I think it was literally just a random name drop. I wouldn't put too much stock in it. It was kind of interesting. Like the case overall was kind of sort of interesting when I read it. But I really highly doubt Harry really has anything to do with it at all at the end of the day. Nike Vic says, hi, Miss Pippa with love. Di says, Harry and Meghan are Groundhog Day on repeat. Yes. Dimitri says, kisses to Miss Pippa. Yeah, she likes to give kisses. Janine Walsh says, watching the Markles is like watching a train wreck. Hard to turn away. Yes. Jennifer says, Pippa is so cute wanting to play. And she wants to cuddle too. She's Creative Chaosify says, on a side note, I recently saw the California state with the most cyberbullying. What a coincidence. Yes. Like I want to put on Twitter, and I've kind of been more on Instagram lately trying to do the fashion IDs and everything, which I find is like good for me because sometimes on Twitter, things just get kind of nasty and it's like, ugh. Not that I won't stop being on there, but like when you look at the definition of criticism versus the definition of bullying, it's like so obvious. The vast majority of the criticism towards Harry and Meghan is criticism. It's not bullying. But if you say negative stuff, it becomes bullying. But the thing too is there's criticism everywhere. Criticism of movies, television shows, businesses, companies, personalities, so many things. It's called criticism, people. It's called criticism. It's not called bullying. I think we've gotten into this somewhat. I mean, it's somewhat this and somewhat not. Well, number one, they have to try to make her into a victim and defend her because otherwise she's kind of indefensible. But the other thing is that, and now I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's very frustrating. Water says, love Pippa's Halloween collar. Yes, it's so cute. Jess says Pippa is so adorable. She really honestly is very adorable. Lisa says, Miss Pippa says, I love you, Mama. She does. Christina says, I believe the dastardly do are relevant and therefore we do not have to consider them at all. But they are interesting to, I think the thing about Harry and Meghan is that they are interesting to discuss in terms of what it means for the future of the monarchy in the UK and other monarchies as well. We see the case with Marius and how that's really gone offline and everything. So yeah, lots of things to consider there. Oh, Terry gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much, Terry. I know people will really appreciate that for sure. Water says Pippa loves her mama. She does. Sheba says, great grandma's money paid for the new house. Meg has her eyes on that money for a long time. I mean, it's not, again, I know $8 million sounds like a lot to a lot of people, but they need like like $80 million. That would be impressive. The $8 million, not so much. Janine Walsh says, very difficult to get away from the taxman. He's watching us all. Yes, he is. Again, the only thing that's true in life is death and taxes. Yeah. Rachel Williams says, Miss Pippa is so cute. Could literally explode. Love her and absolutely love listening to your show. You are so well spoken and put together. It's refreshing. Thank you for your channel and info. Why, thank you. Anastasia says, thank you for acknowledging my question. Read kids in Portugal and the photography laws. However, they would have to see their cousins, surely. Probably not. I don't know. JB says, Portugal has no double taxation treaty with US on income. Oh, interesting. Denise says only Meg would blow an inheritance. Yes. Paul says Harry and Meghan are also going to buy a house in the UK and Canada and other countries. It's all PR puff pieces, including Portugal. I don't know again about Portugal. Again, Richard Eden has a good track record, and people go, "Oh, he's not telling the truth," and then he is. So, Water says me watch too many Hallmark movies and thought that they can change things like those movies. She didn't like reality. No, she never likes reality. Oh, Lizzie gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships as well. Why, thank you so much, Liz E. I really do appreciate it. And I do have, because I'll make it for everyone, the vlog of California. I didn't do too much, but I do have quite the wild story to tell you that I haven't even told my mom yet. Because I knew she would freak out. So, anyways, yeah. So you guys will get a good story. Mimi says, Water says, oh, we already did this one. Kari says, someone who wrote that Meghan was furious at Harry because he didn't fight for more to inherit her money for Queen. That I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Don't believe that. Be quite honest. Jackie Quarterman says, we don't want Republican protesters in Australia. We love having King Charles and Queen Camilla. Yeah, I just think it's kind of like the Stop Oil people. The Stop Oil people just tick me off. I don't even want to hear what they have to say. I think they're all morons. And so I'm like, yeah, because you go around trying to destroy famous paintings to try, like, you can't even focus on, you can't offer any, those are the type of people who only offer destruction and are not innovators. They have no higher brain capacity to actually innovate something. They just have to destroy other things to make their point. I don't like those kind of people. You should be able to innovate and you should be able to offer solutions, kind of like the Earthshot Prize does. I'm not super onto the climate change bandwagon anyways, but I feel like the Republican protesters are very similar. They're more destructive and less actually practical because, trying to scare the horses at the coronation is a horrifically stupid idea. I don't know who came up with that idiotic notion, but that was a horrifically dumb idea. If you killed people, no one will like your cause anymore, you numbskulls. Just saying. So I don't think they're particularly, but this kind of the thing where they kind of, I think, annoy people to death. All right. Devon at least says, no one asks why Meghan isn't involved in fixing America's political system, but focused on the RF monarchy because she has no ability to influence the US political system whatsoever, but the monarchy she can influence. Hal Bell says, we are not dour in the UK. Look at Catherine. We don't need an American to show us how it's done, Meghan. No, I would agree with that. Christina says, do you think Carrie would be buried at Westminster? Did you mean Harry? Maybe. I don't know. I think more the monarchs are married in the church. I don't think he would be buried in the church, to be quite honest. Paul says Harry and Meghan can visit Archie from the docu-series that they visited Eugenie in Portugal. Maybe Isabel says, I think Meghan sees the news clips about Princess Beatrice wanting Frogmore for a more permanent home in the UK so they can came up with Portugal. Maybe. Joan G says, you handle the trolls well. Why, thank you. Jeannie says, usually can hang out with Doria and watch the kids. Maybe. Prida says, what happens when the money runs out? Will the king feel obligated to finance them? I just don't think so. I don't think the king will be like, he has a lot of money. Has less money coming in now because the Duchy of Lancaster doesn't make as much as the Duchy of Cornwall. And he has to support all his siblings, their spouses, their kids to a certain extent. Charles doesn't have that much money to throw around. So I don't think he's going to support them much. Isabel says, Ginny Walsh, well said. And we got Terry says, good morning from Texas. Lizzie says, it was reported last year that Eugenie and Jack were considering moving back to the UK permanently. So maybe Harry has agreed to buy their Portuguese pad. That could be true. Yeah, because I remember thinking, I was like, well, Jack and Eugenie, they did have the place, but I thought they were getting out of it. And I thought they weren't visiting quite as much. Daisy May says, Meghan could have had a dream life with no struggles in the UK and said Meghan left the best role she could have dreamed of. There is no respect for tradition for the UK, for family. No. She's just it's a purely money thing. She was upset she wasn't getting more money and she couldn't keep the freebies. She wants the cash. That's all she wants. Neely says, "Hi everyone from South Africa. Hello." Devon Lee says, "Why doesn't she go to her royal family's country in Nigeria and revamp their image?" Right, right. I don't think she gives two craps about Africa, to be quite honest. Maureen says, I FWIW. I think Portugal is more about the Soho House connections owned by the same guy than usually. Probably, especially when it comes to Meghan. P Pacific says, royal photographer Chris Jackson shared on Instagram how cool it was to see some of his photos projected on the Sydney Opera House. Cool, eh? Yeah, I did think so too. I did think so too. I did think so too. Janine Walsh says, nothing will be successful if you only work an hour a week. That's what Archibald claims on their tax returns. Yep. Daisy May says, Meghan was simply mean spirited. She never changed. That's why Hollywood will never embrace her. Yeah. Because you can be mean in Hollywood, but I've always argued that you have to also be talented. Hollywood can accept a lot when you have talent. She has none. Brandy says, "Oh, the technical tech gremlins are afoot this morning. It's not the tech gremlins. It's my swiping." Kelvin says, "I don't think they will run out of money. I believe they have private investments, insurance companies, which is private and the public knows nothing about. I mean, nobody knows their money situation. Yeah, we don't know exactly, but I mean, we can guesstimate pretty well. And they do have a $9 million mortgage. We did know that because I think they put 5 million down on their house. And people can guesstimate about how much he made from the book and everything. So we can do sort of guesstimations. So we don't know their exact monetary situation. We won't say. And of course, they have some private investments, and Meghan has been public about some of her quote unquote private investments. But the thing is that they also spend like sailors on leave. And that's the problem. And they also have a massive drain, which is their ridiculous security apparatus. There is literally no reason Meghan needs to be driven around Montecito by a security guard. That is cuckoo, ridiculous nonsense. That is a waste of money, a complete and utter waste of money. Yeah, you need some security, but you don't need that. That you think you need that is killing your finances. That is going to kill our finances. Homes in California are expensive to maintain. Well, I mean, not just California, but like the size of the home they have is really expensive to maintain. They could be into the six figures on just monthly house maintenance. That's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I would say probably 50K, maybe, depending on what they're having to do. They have household staff, I'm sure, cleaners, chefs, maybe nannies. All that stuff is a drain on their resources. So I think they have a lot more drains than you might anticipate. And they don't have the talent to really bring it in. Lisa H says, I don't think he wants to be close to his cousin usually. Remember how he acted like Princess Catherine was considered his sister, then he tried to destroy her. He needs to go to rehab. Right. Creative Chaosify says, by buying properties in places like Portugal, people like Harry and Meghan are pushing property prices up, making it harder for locals to buy a house. Such a philanthropist. Yes. All right. So somebody keeps constantly posting the same thing. If I read it once, you're good. Ah, the wrong shoe says, thanks for the membership. So Maureen says, I think the Portugal property has more to do with Soho House. Development is owned by the same guy as Soho House than Eugenie. I just don't understand the fascination with Soho House. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Jess says, if Harry is done with Meghan and the relationship, he will not leave because of the children. He'll stay for them. Yep. He'll stay longer because of them. So Valinda says, good morning from Tennessee. So this is a repeat text because I lost some of them in the technical glitch there with my hands going too far and swiping. I have a box next to me with 8 baby chicks. Oh, born from an incubator. So they are the size of an egg. So beep, beep, do Miss Pippa. Oh. All right. Mangela says, Brittany, who is your favorite royal out of all the royal families everywhere? Love your channel. Why, thank you. So, goodness, if I had to choose which I really do like Maxima, can't lie. I think I like it in part because she always brings up bling. Sometimes she gets it really wrong when it comes to fashion, but sometimes she gets it really, really right. And so I enjoy that. I think she seems very fun. I mean, I've heard she's a little, you could say, argue stuck up, but I think she's very fun. I think Crown Princess Victoria seems lovely. She was so engaged with when I saw her for her father's Golden Jubilee. I think she is pretty lovely, and I think probably she has a hard time remembering faces, but I think she would be just incredibly kind person to me. Like, if you ran into her and obviously everybody has a bad day, so I'm not saying if you ran into her walking somewhere that, she would be perfect every single time, but I think she's a very warm person, and so I think she seems lovely. Matilda seems very sweet from Belgium. Denmark, obviously Mary, love her fashion, love her fashion. She seems very, very kind, and so I wouldn't mind meeting her, and of course, Catherine as well, but I always think, people always mention Catherine or something, and I met Catherine, but I like seeing the other royals too. The other royals to me are a lot of fun. So, and I again, just Maxima I feel like she has drama to her outfits too. She just brings the bling and the fun, and I think that's why kinda everybody loves Maxima in some ways. So Paul says only up to 6 in line as to custody. So only Archie as to ancient King Charles custody law, but wouldn't apply to modern day law. No, I would agree with that. Agree with that. But thank you for that clarification. That was kind of my instinct. Ritz says, so Harry and Meghan are going to do brunch with Eugenie and Jack in Portugal. And is egomaniac Meghan going to demand the restaurant throw out of their patrons? Probably. Yorkshire Teacup says Eden is a secret squatty, in my opinion. He could be. He could be. He still gets some good stuff. World Gone Mad says Megan keeps saying this year was successful. I'm not sure what success may be successful on record of puff pieces. Well, when it comes to American Riviera Orchard, that has been a smashing, smashing failure, like an absolute disastrous failure. So let's go. Yorkshire Teacup says, I think the house is specifically to do with their links to Eugenie and Jack. They are cut from the same cloth. I wouldn't go so that far. Nike Vic says, Brittany, I agree that the way Harry is going about for internet censorship is wrong, but I don't think the company should get away with their personally addictive products either, like the tobacco industry. But I think some of I honestly find it's meant to keep you on because that's what makes them money. But I don't think it's like tobacco. It's not something that's going to literally kill you. You just have to make the choice not to do it. I think it all comes down to choice, to be quite honest. Philly says Twitter is very nasty sometimes. Yeah, it is. I think more than just about anywhere else. JV Shorty says, good morning from rainy Victoria, British Columbia. Good morning, Ms. Pippa. Bebop says, as a Brit living in Northern California, Meghan Markle is considered a pariah by California Democrats. Newsom saw how his popularity dipped after he made a phone call to the tax board for the Harkles. Maybe. Just me says, I've never been on Twitter. Probably don't. Don't. You'll be better. You'll be better off. Belinda says the People's article sounds like an advertisement for beach and golf club that they'd be moving to. Yeah. Carrie says, how old is Miss Pippa? She is 8 years old. She's a big girl 8. Daisy May says, Meghan has no grit. She was spoiled as a child and has no limits as an adult. It shows. It does. Creative Chaosify says, does the Prince of Wales have any upcoming events or the Princess of Wales? So Catherine, probably Remembrance Sunday is the next thing for sure. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Love says, notice how Harry has not come out to defend Meghan against the bullying allegations. Yes. Brandy says Pippa is so cute. She is really cute. Aw. Love Devon Lee says, thank you, Terry, for the membership. Helen says, so many kind people today. Margaret says, where aren't they buying houses? So true. Flicking Bollock says, hi, Brittany and everyone. I will be lurking in the bushes. Sounds good. Marie says, so much kindness in this chat. Yes. Carrie says, maybe the Portuguese apartment is some sort of promo deal. They get the apartment and does publicity. They could, but we haven't seen publicity yet. Valinda says, thank you, Terry. I got a membership. Very sweet. Georgia says, love your narrative. You have talent for speaking off the cuff. Why, thank you. It does help to do this quite a bit, I got to say. Stephen Magnus says, unless Harry and Meghan become Portuguese, they can only stay for a maximum of 90 days per 6-month period as non-residents. As non-residents, they can't work there. Yes, that would be correct. I mean, and it is essentially a vacation home. And I can do the same thing. I can go to Europe for 90 days in a 6-month period and like travel around and work on content and stuff. But as soon as I am going to get paid by a local business, then I would have to get a visa. So that's kind of how the visa process works. But thank you so much for the tip there, Stephen. And let's see. Aletha says, "Hi, Brittany from Perth, Australia. Alternating between watching you and our telethon raising money for childhood medical research. Last year, we raised $75,467,775. That is fantastic." Margaret says, "So glad that many other citizens of Australia are looking forward to the King's visit." Ginny says, "Gotta run it by everyone. Have a great weekend." Yes, you as well. Belinda says Republicans are Democrats in the UK. Just FYI. Yorkshire Teacup says, "I hope some big burly Aussie shows the Not My King leader some hospitality." Terry says, "Enjoy your gifted memberships." That is so sweet. Bebop says, "I've never understood the logic behind the oil protesters. If you don't like something, get involved and try to present solutions." That's my thought. It's like, why are you trying to destroy things and wreck people's lives and cause like misery to other people? Just look for a solution. Because the reality is that we need to keep going as things are going until we have an alternative. The best thing to do is innovate, not just like halt everything, cripple ourselves economically for I would say in some cases, just a philosophical perspective. You can make things change. I think the earth is more resilient than I think we give it credit for. And yeah, just keep like everything in moderation, but keep going as we're going and innovate at the same time. And you will come to a solution. Like that's how good solutions are made. Flicking Bollock says, "When I lived in Australia, we had a referendum about whether to keep the Queen or go Republic. We didn't want a politician, so we kept the Queen." Yes. Letha says the Channel 7 Perth telethon is the most successful telethon per capita in the world, having raised over 600 million since 1968. That is fantastic. How awesome. Daisy May says King Charles stopped his treatment to visit Australia. How is that for dedication? I think that's beyond above and beyond expectation. It is. A Fire Elemental says Portugal is either a ruse to draw attention or a response to the Diddy Trump writing on the wall. Lots of celebs scared of the Diddy revelations. I really don't think Diddy has anything to do with it. I really think just including his name in there was a red herring. Debbie Carlock says, "Good morning from sunny Louisiana Pets for Miss Pippa." She'll enjoy that. She likes belly rubs. Those are her taxes that she makes you pay is belly rubs. Bobby says Harriet and Andrew are the reasons spares should be educated to function outside the Royal Golden Fish Bowl. Harry can't even do that basic job. It's disgusting. Yeah. Yep. Margaret says if you added the Duchy of Cornwall and the Duchy of Lancaster money together, it would not be enough for that woman. No, nothing would be enough for Meghan. That's the thing, too. And I have said this before is that I don't think Meghan will ever be satisfied. I don't think no matter how much money Harry throws at the situation or throws at her or Charles or whatever, she will never be happy. She will never be happy. You cannot satisfy this woman. Minara says, "Hi, Brittany. Again, able to join and so happy, so glad." Roder says, "Do you think there will be a missing money again this tax report for them?" I really don't think the money's missing. I think there's maybe just a misunderstanding of something, but I'd have to look at it myself, but I'm not really that interested in it either. Karen says, "Those type of protesters are like the ones who shut down the freeways in the US. There's not one person who is inconvenienced who thinks, 'Oh, I understand. Good for you.' Yeah, we're all inconvenienced. We're all mad. We're all just mad." Milano says, "Aren't there tax benefits to be had in Portugal?" Well, you don't have to pay taxes to live there, so that's kind of or on your property, that's kind of the benefit. P Pacific says, "A sweet, sad memory of Liam Payne is that when he first met Prince William, he was the most nervous he had ever been in his whole life." That's so sweet. Wendy says, "Can you imagine having the money to blow on the foolishness to do some good on your own community?" No, that would just be the amount of money they blow through is insane. All her trinket jewelry. The amount of jewelry she has, I should go through like on Unidentified No More or maybe Megan's Closet or something and add up the cost of all her trinket jewelry because it ain't cheap. Bebop says Megan believed her own PR that she would modernize the RF. When it didn't happen, she probably threw herself on the floor in tears. That seems to be her only talent. Yes. Jackie says, I love your analogy. They spend like sailors on leave. Priceless. I'm baking for church and listening to your podcast. Aw, thank you so much, Jackie. I know it's very, very late there, very early in the morning, kind of depending where you're at. Minara says, hi, Brittany, able to join a live again. So happy. On the Harry and Meghan topic, I think they fail to understand that people usually get behind even bad people, but not hypocrites. Yeah. And honestly, too, guys, talent has a huge part of it. I have yet to see Harry and Meghan exhibit any sort of talent except for grifting. And they're not even doing some of that well. It's just, yeah. Kelly says Queen Maxima is my favorite queen. She is really one of my favorites. Like, I know everybody says Catherine, but I'm like, I love Maxima. I'm like so look forward to her state events. So there is actually, and I'm kind of bummed about this, but I'm kind of glad too. So the Nobel Prize ceremony in Sweden is on the 10th and the 11th of December, is my understanding. And the Portuguese state visit to the Netherlands is also on the 10th and the 11th of December. And I'm like, oh, that's going to hurt because I really wanted to go to the Nobels. But I was thinking, well, if the Nobels doesn't work, I have a backup where I can apply for both press credentials to both events. And hopefully, fingers crossed, one of them comes through. Daisy May says, why does Meghan keep buying expensive ill-fitting clothes? She constantly exposes too much skin and looks inappropriate. Oh, and the clothes are often wrinkled. Why? I think again, she's just so desperate to try to be something she's not, and it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. Kaza Swan says, good morning from Raleigh, North Carolina. Do you think the dukedoms of the Kent and Gloucester will revert to the crown when the present dukes die? I don't know. That's an interesting question because they're very prominent dukedoms, and I think they have heirs for both of them. But the question is, like, do they keep going down that line? Sorry. Or do they like, well, unless you're like in the direct line of succession, you get these for one generation, then we take them back and then they go to somebody else. I don't know. Because technically, well, Louis should be the Duke of York at some point. Or it would be cool if Charlotte could hold that title in her own right and just be the Duchess of York. That would be cool too. Daisy May says Queen Maxima is so stylish. Bright colors and great jewelry are her standard, simply sparkling. She has some weird ensembles too, though. She has some great stuff and some like there's like one outfit that I call it like a costume reject for the Lion King stage production. That's what it looks like. It looks like she's literally wearing a lion's mane and her hair is messy. So she can be hit and miss, but I enjoy that too. Lizzie B says, I'd love to meet Empress Moscow. She seems so lovely. And she's had such a hard time. So it'd be nice to like cheer her up. She's also apparently great friends with Queen Maxima. And Queen Maxima is one of the few women who she really leaned on as she struggled with the pressures of the Japanese imperial household. Yorkshire Teacup says, in my opinion, the king is already funding them. They appear confident in their galvanizing around the world and leisure time costs. Harry knows the king wouldn't see his son living like a pauper. But he did say they sort of rejected him. I mean, I would go and say, I think they're living beyond their means or living as if they'll get another huge success at some point. And what happens is, and I mean, I think we can all be guilty of it. Sometimes I know I am. You spend your money before you really have it, or you think things are going to keep going the way they are. And I think the thing is, Harry and Meghan's stuff, like their income stream is already probably starting to trickle down a bit, and it'll get even smaller, I think. Margaret says, away from the British royals, I like Queen Mary. She is lovely. Belinda says American Riviera Orchard is successful. Successful being the worst failure in history. Very true. Very true. MK says, who is the most tactful royal? I would love to hear how they navigate the small talk and tense situations regularly. Trying to think because it's kind of hard because you don't always necessarily. I mean, I think a vast majority of them are pretty good at it. I mean, there are some who I think tend to rub people the wrong way, like Princess Michael of Kent. We've heard over the years she can kind of rub people the wrong way sometimes. But I think most of them are pretty good at it. I mean, I think Victoria is really great. I think I think Carl Gustaf of Sweden, the king, can probably be somewhat hit and miss depending on he seems grumpy to me. He seems perpetually grumpy. So that could be somewhat his just general look, but also seems to be his demeanor too, is that he's a little grump. And so I don't know how easy he would be necessarily to get along with. or have small talk with. He just doesn't strike me as a real big small talker. I think Queen Letizia and King Felipe would be pretty good at small talk for sure. Queen Maxima, of course, Willem Alexander, Matilda and Philippe. I just don't know enough about them to say for sure, but I think Matilda would be great. I can't think of enough. Don't know the king well enough. Trying to think. Like you can more think of the people you would think would be kind of not as great. But yeah, in some ways, I think Megan can be kind of okay at small talk, but I don't think she can be all that great at it either. Water said social media is toxic because of humans. Bullies find a way to bully. Parents need to be more responsible. A 5-year-old has no need to be on Facebook, X, Insta, etc. Yes, I would agree with that. Esther says perhaps Portugal is how Harry can have his kids in Europe with Meghan's okay. Maybe they can meet their English relatives. That would be nice. Carmel says, how can she keep the show up and be seen a fraud? She does no good from what I see. No, she doesn't do a lot. Devon says, if one files for divorce where the kids are the kids, the judge will stop them from moving, so she can't bring them to the UK. I don't think it would stop them from bringing them to the UK, but yeah, there'd definitely be a fight over custody and where the kids could be. P Pacific says, if you have school age kids, you cannot come and go on sunny vacations. I didn't see an elementary school on the Glam golf course for sure. So true. Daisy says, why did Harry extend his stay in Africa? He seemed happier away from Meghan. I think he was happier. I don't know if he extended it though. So that's the question. Do the kids have valid birth certificates? This is from Mariana for passports. Yes. Yes. They went to Costa Rica last year. They have to have passports. Anissa says, I think Eugenie and Meghan share some negative characteristics. They both bullied Catherine. Eugenie was rude and nasty Catherine when she joined the royal family, and Meghan did the same. I don't think that's necessarily the case. And I've heard Catherine was at one point, did not tell, I think it was Beatrice. And this again, there's a lot of things that people forget from the early days of Catherine and William dating and that whole very early 2000s time period where there was a report, and I don't know how much it was true, that Beatrice showed up to an event that Catherine invited her to, and Catherine didn't tell her it was fancy dress. And so she didn't have the right outfit on, and then she left in tears. And so I don't know if that's true or not, but I think sometimes people, in order to bash Eugenie because she was somewhat close to Harry and Meghan, seemed to, want to pull her into that thing. But I think, guys, it's more complicated than I think you realize. And I think there were a lot of things that didn't get reported at the time and did, or that people had just forgotten about when it came to that early 2000s time period. I don't think they all got along super well. And I think we see some of that reflected, but I think they've all matured too, these young royals. But I think there was a time where they all probably didn't get along all that well. So Fire Elemental says, as time goes on, Meghan gets older, less interesting to others, and eventually even her little stunts will be insignificant. That's the thing, at some point, things will move on. Water says, does Archie have dual citizenship between the USA and England? Yes. Janice says, I love the old saying, if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. I would agree with that. Nike Vic says, what age do you think Archie and Lily will make their debut in papping like their mother? I don't know. Yep. Amanda says, late watching, I audibly cackled at the comment about Meghan going through every man in LA. Like, I don't really think she did, but it's almost like, why are you searching in Britain and the UK? Like, did you go through every man in your local community now that you have to jump continents to find a new guy? Lucy says, in my opinion, Harry and Meghan didn't buy a house in Portugal. I believe they got the money to advertise in Portugal. At this point, they're willing to do anything for money. I don't think so. Don't think so. That doesn't make much sense. Like, you can't really advertise a country. That's just a little weird. Fire Elemental says, so true, Brittany. I agree with your view. Be good stewards, but innovate, research, and don't fall for the first idea until thoroughly researched. Lithium batteries were very bad for the earth. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting. We'll get there, but it's just going to take some time, but innovate in the process. You have to kind of keep the engine chugging and as you innovate at the same time. Madam Esther says the thing with the internet campaign Harry is pushing is that so many flaws. He points his own figure toward the wrong direction rather than educate parents. I'm a mom. He's trying something impossible. Yes. And that's why too, they could say they can, if they fail, then it's no skin off their back because they can never succeed in the first place. Again, they're not gonna change social media companies. They're just not. And I think it's a more of a parental issue, which is the part of the problem that Harry completely ignores, is the parent's role. Water says, when Harry comes crying after a divorce, there will be rules for him, like no reporters, no books. You will stay where we tell you to. I mean, they have kind of done that already. It's like they basically put him in now, like Buckingham Palace, I think was what he was offered for a place in the UK when he came for a couple of days. And he's obviously like, no, no, no. But they're not going to give him something off the beaten track because they can't trust him. So they have to keep an eye on him. They're already keeping an eye on him. Harry and Meghan stay at an estate. It is will within the confines and the purview and the view of palace security and everything because they can't trust them. They don't want them asking random people or inviting random people to come on the estates anymore. They're not letting them do that. So, yeah, that's what Harry and Meghan's issue is that they can't have the control because the palace is like, no, you've lost that. Barrows says Richard Eden's the first to report the real version of Josh's departure. I doubt he's a fan of either Harry or Meghan. Yeah. Sanders says watching 2 live streams simultaneously, but my good old boy Hannibal clearly prefers this one. Aw, thank you, Hannibal. Aram Scout says, "Don't laugh, but Queen Mary reminds me, um, uh, think in Princess Lee." Aw. Lexi Reynolds says, "What will Queen Camilla's title be when King William ascends the throne?" It depends. She might die before Charles. That's entirely possible. I don't know what her title would be. Probably still Queen Camilla, I would imagine. Bebop says, thanks to watching your channel. I really enjoyed learning about the European, but RFs. Well, awesome. I'm so glad. Water says, who do you think will get the Duke of Edinburgh after Prince Edward? I don't know. It'll go definitely back to the crown. So we'll see who gets it after that. But that probably won't be maybe even within my lifetime. Allison says her taming of the screw Cartier necklace, overpriced and tacky, but fits her perfectly. Yes, she wants the flashiness of the jewelry, and it's not like you have to at least admit Catherine kind of goes for generally subtler jewelry and not so flashy designer jewelry. Meghan again screams nouveau riche. She needs the Cartier love bracelet, but a lot of women in royal circles have that bracelet, but still. Rich says they both have a layer of protection around them that prevents anyone from calling them out, which is maddening. They are lucky, but so undeserving. Yes. Rich says King Grump of Sweden. Yeah. I mean, he's probably really nice, but he kind of has this perpetually grumpy face and expression. And I just wonder, he seems grumpy. Mara says, I love Princess Anne. Yes, I forgot Princess Anne. She's such a hardworking royal and understands the duty of her role. Yeah, I think she would be an awesome person to me because I think she would genuinely be interested in what you're doing. And I think she's found a way to love her job. Rich says, I love listening to King Felipe of Spain speaking English and Spanish. His speech is very refined and he's handsome. Yes, he is. And he's tall. He's 6'5". He like in the military events, and it could be a cliche, but maybe I would figure, military guys, police guys are usually pretty tall. He towers over everyone. It's probably one of the few times that William's a tall royal. He's 6'3". And so I'm sure William, it's like weird to have somebody who is taller than him as a royal. That's just got to be weird. Wilma Casey says, I expect Meghan will try to crash Princess Catherine's Christmas event. I live in the UK and I will go. I am planning to go as well. We'll have to see how the week kind of plays out because I don't know when it'll be. I plan to be there though for the state visit with the Emir of Qatar. So I won't get probably I probably will not get press credentials to really any of that, but I will at least try to watch some of it. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to catch the arrivals in the cars. That would be awesome. William Casey says to support Princess Catherine. Yes. Allison says Beatrice and Eugenie at the wedding with those hats went viral as the ugly stepsisters, which is sad because Beatrice's outfit was lovely, but the hat was awful. But she made money off of it, so that was That was nice. Laura says, does Harry have a prenup? He probably does. I would not be surprised. Jackie says Queen Camilla's title will be the Dowager Queen Camilla. Yeah, I think she will be Dowager, but I don't think people will probably call her that. It's kind of like when they tried to make her, she's Queen Consort Camilla. Nobody called her that. It's just easier to say Queen Camilla. Queen Camilla. I think that'll be similar too. P Pacific says the sun is shining brightly in Southern California today. The waves are high. A great day for Harry to ride some real waves. Yeah, can he like pull off that maneuver that he did in the wave park in the actual ocean? The answer is no. I mean, he's literally pulled out there, catches the perfect wave. The guy, I really wish I'd actually watched the video with the sound because I didn't realize that the guy is telling him what to do the entire time. So he's not doing much. Like, again, my mom, who was almost 60 at the time, went out into the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, which is very cold, went pretty far out there to attempt to surf. And it was surfing lessons and it was tough. Bia says, MOON, the Spencer sisters supporting William and Charles buttering up to Harry. William, I suspect, isn't close to him. Yeah, and Charles Spencer has his own issues. Godzilla Manstrap says, thank you for your wonderful work, Brittany. You are so welcome. Wise, Hien says Princess Anne has a strong sense of duty. Unlike Harry, who whined and complained, Harry cried about being the spare. And it's like, what about Anne? She was born before the rules changed so her rank falls. Yeah, she has a lot of class, I would say. Jackie says, it's been great listening to everyone's comments. Yes, it's late here in Australia. It was wonderful to see King Charles and Queen Camilla arrive in Australia. That opera house looks amazing. Glad they have made this trip. Yes. We also have Philly Cheese Take. It says, I believe that was an old video of Harry surfing. Didn't Meghan buy him those lessons years ago? Yeah, I think that's what he did for his birthday weekend. We were told he was going to Northern California for his birthday weekend. We were told he was going camping. I think they should have called it glamping because that is what he did, I believe. Ooh, yes. Nikki Vic says, when you come to UK, I highly recommend Canopes. It's hot chocolate for you. There's a hot chocolate only barista store in Oxford and High Street in Kensington. You'll love it. Yes, I have been there many times. I love it. I actually, when in the summertime, you can get the cool drinks, which are really good. Really good. I know. I love Canopes. I was like, it's like melted chocolate. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So guys, we will go ahead and maybe end it there because I have actually something else to do today as well. And so I think obviously there are so many great stories out there and so many things to look forward to. Obviously, the state visit. We have one next week between Denmark and Germany. So I'm excited about that. I almost went to that because I have like basically enough points, but I didn't. But I'm going to be on the lookout for things because I do have like a decent amount of points to get myself to Europe for something before even our big trip for Christmas. So I'm watching, fingers crossed, knock on wood, hoping to get something. So guys, and hoping to cover something in person because that just hasn't happened this year. It's been a bit of a bummer. So guys, anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great Saturday and a wonderful rest of your weekend and a wonderful week. And I shall see you guys again very, very soon. Bye.